Second game is played on Daedalus Point. Another great game. At least I hope it'll be a great game. The first one sure was. Probably one of the best ones I've watched in this league so far. Anyway, already into the game, so switch to the right scenes here. Alright, everything all set up. So, spawning in the lower right, we have playing as our Teal Terran player, playing for StratK Gaming. Ouch. Listed as Clan Odakad. I have no idea what that means. And I also have no idea what IDGI is, which is what our purple Protoss player EnderSword lists as a clan. But he is playing at least today for eSports. So let's see if he can even it up. Ouch took that first one pretty convincingly in a very, very long macro game on Heavy Rain. Daedalus is a very different map, a lot more open space, not nearly as great for drop play, not that Ouch really took advantage of that much. Like, neither player really utilized much drop play, it was mostly ground versus ground in that game. So we do see a gateway first out of EnderSword, sending a probe across the map to scout. Looks like another Reaper expand from Ouch, because if it works, why change it? Not that the Reaper did all that much good for him last game. Well, it did sort of, because it prevented that proxy from working. So this probe comes in, sees there's already gas. Barracks just finished up. Reaper already on the way, as you'd expect. Not that he knows it's a Reaper, but really, he knows it's a Reaper, because he doesn't see a factory or anything. Got this probe kind of skirting around, seeing what he can see. Looks like Ouch isn't going to bother with the Scout SCV, just going to use that first Reaper as his scouting, which makes sense. Reaper almost certainly going to get a kill on this probe if it wants it, but no, it decides to. No, it does decide to head back and doesn't know what it wants to do. Yep, there it is. It's going to take down this probe before heading across to the Protoss base. In the meantime, the first Zealot is out for EnderSword. First Stalker also on the way, as well as Warp Gate Tech. No Mothership Core just yet, prioritizing the Stalker, which actually makes perfect sense, because against the Terran you expect the Reaper, and the Stalker does better against the Reaper than the Mothership Core. So the Reaper pretty much runs back out having seen that Stalker, which makes sense. Didn't get to see all that much, but it does actually get to see that a Nexus is already coming down for EnderSword. So it at least got some useful scouting info and didn't manage to die. Always a good sign. Looks like EnderSword's going to poke out with his first Stalker. See what he can see. Looks like he's actually going to catch the second base coming down for Ouch. The second base flying over right now. However, that Stalker Yeah, he's fast enough to get away. He finds a ton of Marines in one Marauder. Not going to be able to do much against that with a one Stalker. Especially not with that Marauder in the group. Stalkers can take Marines if they're really careful. Not Stalkers, but just not Marauders. Anyway, we got that Reaper heading around. Gets a full scout of the Protoss base. Looks like he might die for it, but... Yep. That Stalker has the finishing blow. But you got a nice full scout of the Protoss base. Got to see all those gateways. 5 now. That's a lot of gateways. Also, a lot of probes. Oversaturation, man. And nothing in the second gas. 25 there. Watch your probe assignments, EnderSword. If you watch this, it'll help you in future games. It's way oversaturated. And only a few probes down there. So, yeah, watch your probe saturation. It'll help you. Anyway, we have a good army here in the middle of the map for EnderSword. Finds the army of Ouch, and thanks to a few great force fields, able to take out all the Marines. Well, most of the Marines, there's one left. But they might get the rest of this army if they keep following it. However, most of the army is now down for EnderSword. The number of Stalkers being worked into bring in. Well, an odd choice. Stalkers not the best against Marauders. Marauders is most of what Ouch has left. Odd to see that many Stalkers being added in. Especially because I don't see a Twilight Council or Blank back home. Would have expected more Zealots. Anyway, if there's the Zealots. Join in with all these Stalkers, and I think this push is going to continue up. It's like right outside of this natural base. This might be GG. I think there's too much Protoss here. At the very least, Natural is forced to fly home, and a number more units are taken down for the loss of most of the Zealots. The Stalkers all survived. Heck, most of them didn't even take any hits, at least beyond shields. Now, Ouch is rebuilding his army quite well. But that's a lot more Stalkers. And honestly, I'd say things are looking pretty dire for Ouch right now. He's pretty much contained on one base. He doesn't have enough to deal with this. Continues to lose stuff pretty much for free. And the contain, it's one heck of a hard contain. Behind this, EnderSword's finished up a robo. EnderSword's continuing to probe up. Bases should be at pretty much full saturation at this point. Yeah, that first base still being oversaturated. Like I said, look at your saturation, dude. You only need 16. There you go. This whole army is gone home for the moment. Base moving back into place for Ouch. But we've got a Protoss player with 22 more supply than a Bio-Terran. Twilight Council now on the way. Robotics Bay just about done. Which means we're going to see E1 Colossus on the way very shortly, I'd wager. Or instead is getting an observer into the army rather than adding the Colossus immediately. Probably a good thing to have. 2 forges being added on as EnderSword decides it's going to be a bit of a longer game, but he does have a significant lead at this point. In the meantime, Ouch has an army moving across the field. See what he can see back here. Not the best place for a Terran army to be. Especially a Terran army with... Yep, they do have stim, okay. They do have stim, but only 2 medevacs for that large of an army, and... yeah. They're not going to do much against that sort of a Protoss force. They know what they run home. They do get that warp-in pylon that was being used so effectively earlier, though, during that contain. Glass is just about done, though. No extended thermal lance yet, not even on the way. 1-1, pretty close. Yeah, 1-1 on the way for EnderSword, as well as now extended thermal lance on the way. Charge just about finished. Back on the Terran side of the map, we got +1 infantry weapons on the way, as well as a lot of marauders and a few marines. But EnderSword continues to actually increase the supply difference rather than it being swinging more towards our Terran player, which is almost surprising, but nice attack down in the man though. Probes have been pulled, and most of the force gets away, at least into the medevac, so the medevac should actually fly away now, maybe? No, it looks like the medevac should try another drop, but without overcharge on one going down, that's disastrous. Both medevacs going down before any more troops are dropped. Anyway, that happened because as he was a little busy with his main force poking into the... in fact, taking out the natural. Nice 2-pronged attack. So, EnderSword now down on 1 base to Ouch's 2. Still got a 34 supply advantage. And he's going to move out here because he knows he's got it. He knows he's got the much better army, and he does. He's got the upgrade advantage, he's got the supply advantage, he's got AoE against a Terran. He's got a much better army. Adding on more sentries. Not sure if that's the best choice. I didn't decide it. Oh, it all comes down to what resources he had. He had sentries who's got a lot of gas. He doesn't have that much minerals. That makes sense. He's already got a ton. So, looks like it's time for EnderSword to move in. Those Zealots doing a pretty darn good job getting the Terran army to kite back. These buildings at the front all falling to the might of the Colossi and the Stalkers. Zealots pretty much gone, but Stalkers still ill enough to screen for these Colossi. And when you see SCVs sent after Colossi, actually trying to attack it, you know it's a bad day to be a Terran. This entire base, the entire army decimated. One Colossus down to half of its health, having lost its shields, but there's really not much Ouch can do. I mean, there is a drop going on, actually taking down a good amount of damage actually back home, but in this base race, things are all coming up EnderSword. He's not even bothering to work things in the fight if he could. He's got the minerals, he's got the resources, he's got the abilities. He's not doing it. So in the meantime, yeah, he just continues to take out what's left of Ouch's base. He does have a few flying buildings. Now this might become a problem. He's pretty much out of everything. He's not warping in, even though he could. He's still got gateways. He's got resources. He's now out of Nexi. This is going to be a problem. He's actually making a Nexus down here, which is a really funny place to be making a Nexus. As you can see, EnderSword's trying to lose Command Center there. And there's the Nexus. And EnderSword's trying to make his last stand here. Yeah, there's a Nexus being played there. And EnderSword is tracking down the last of his army. I think this has been a really awkward base trade. So Ouch is trying to take down all the buildings. He's getting all the tech. He's getting all the buildings, sure. But he can't ever rebuild anything. He doesn't have enough to build another CC. And EnderSword has the army to deal with it. It's GG at this point. The only thing is the formality of him leaving the game. I'm going to still watch it until he GG's out, but that's game. It's done. This little Bioforce cannot fight this army. There may be only 4 probes, but there is only 1 SCV, and there is not enough to actually make anything. It would actually take a very long time for EnderSword to be able to do anything because he has to build so many extra pylons, but really it doesn't matter. Ouch is flying around with his little last Bioforce, thinking that maybe he can do something, but he's about to probably encounter EnderSword's base and discover that there's way too much there. Yep. There they are. You can see, oh look, it's like the last few probes. And EGG's out. Done. He now knows something that the rest of us knew quite a while ago. This game